Right now, you're wearing something you didn't think twice about this morning. A shirt, pants, socks, maybe a jacket if it's cold outside. You didn't consider it an achievement. You just got dressed. But that simple act, pulling fabric over your skin, is one of the strangest things a species ever taught itself to do. Because you are the only naked ape on Earth that covers itself on purpose. And the story of why starts nowhere near a runway or a factory. It starts on a freezing plain in Africa, with a species that was losing its fur. In 2003, a geneticist named Mark Stonking ran an unusual experiment. He wasn't studying skin or hair. He was studying lice. Human head lice and human body lice are actually two different species, and body lice can only survive in clothing, not on bare skin. So Stonking reasoned, if you can figure out when body lice evolved as a separate species from head lice, you'd know roughly when humans started wearing something on their bodies for the lice to live in. His answer: somewhere between 83,000 and 170,000 years ago. That's the oldest clue we have. Humans were wearing something long before anyone invented a needle. But here's what makes that timeline strange. Humans lost most of their body hair around 1 to 2 million years ago, likely to cool down while running and hunting in the heat. That left us naked and exposed for possibly over 1 million years before we started covering up again. So the question isn't just when we started wearing clothes. It's why we waited so long and what changed. The leading theory points to climate. Around 180,000 years ago, the planet was sliding into an ice age. Early humans migrating out of Africa were walking straight into freezing temperatures with skin built for the tropics. A hairless body that worked fine on the savanna was a death sentence in an ice age winter. Something had to change fast, and evolution is slow. Clothing wasn't a fashion choice. It was a survival patch, a way to fake fur using something else entirely. The earliest actual tools we have for this come from a cave in Morocco called contrabandiers, where archaeologists found bone tools dated to around 120,000 years ago, specifically shaped for scraping hides clean. Not weapons. Not hunting tools. Hide processing tools. Someone was turning animal skin into something wearable. Alongside them, researchers found the bones of foxes and jackals with cut marks and patterns that suggest the animals were skinned for their pelts rather than eaten. That's early humans deliberately harvesting fur, not meat. Then, around 40,000 years ago, the evidence gets sharper. In sites across Russia and Central Europe, archaeologists have found eyed needles, thin bone tools with a hole punched through one end. Not an awl for punching holes, an actual needle for pulling thread through material. That's the moment clothing stopped being a wrapped hide and became something stitched, fitted, tailored to a body. And it matters more than it sounds because a wrapped hide keeps you warm. A stitched, layered garment keeps you alive somewhere a wrapped hide never could. That difference might explain something bigger. Neanderthals lived in Europe through brutal cold for hundreds of thousands of years, and there's no solid evidence they ever developed sewn clothing. They wrapped hides. Modern humans, arriving later into the same freezing landscape, had needles. Some researchers think that gap-fitted clothing versus draped clothing might be part of why our species expanded into environments Neanderthals never fully conquered. A needle and thread let humans walk into Siberia. A cape did not. By around 34,000 years ago, at a site called Sungir in Russia, archaeologists found burials of humans dressed in clothing decorated with thousands of carved ivory beads, arranged in patterns that mirror where seams and layers would have been. This wasn't just insulation anymore. It was status, identity, decoration. Clothing had stopped being purely functional and started becoming a language. So here's the full arc. Around 1 to 2 million years ago, humans lost their fur to survive the heat. For possibly over 1 million years, we were the only bare-skinned primate on Earth. Then, sometime after 170,000 years ago, as the climate turned brutal, we started wrapping ourselves in processed hides just to survive. By 40,000 years ago, we had needles, and clothing became engineered rather than improvised. By 34,000 years ago, it had become identity. You didn't invent any of that this morning when you got dressed. You inherited it. Every layer you put on is a technology older than farming, older than writing, older than most of what we call civilization, built by people trying to fake the fur we gave up 1 million years earlier. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out. And leave a comment on what you want me to make a video about. See you soon.